Bethany White. I told you, last night's post-game reaction, all about the players. AB, Kelsey, CeCe, Monique Billings, giving credit to Raven Johnson. Today, the focus is on Arms Crossed McGee. Twitch Richardson is what we're calling her around here. Stephanie White.
Imagine buying a Formula One race car and then using it to deliver pizza. That is exactly what the Indiana Fever experience with Caitlin Clark is starting to feel like. The team landed the biggest star women's basketball has seen in years, a generational talent capable of transforming a franchise. Yet fans continue leaving games asking the same frustrating question. How can an offense built around a player of this caliber look so complicated and ineffective? As criticism surrounding Stephanie White reaches a boiling point, growing numbers of fans and analysts are beginning to wonder whether this coaching experiment was destined to struggle long before anyone fully realized what was happening behind the scenes.
Well, we're going to look at some fallout, some reaction to last night's game, the loss against the Valkyries, where we saw one player on the team really and truly stand up and rise above everybody else that was playing last night, and that's Raven Johnson. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat, and I probably did not make it clear enough last night. For the second time this year, Stephanie White let somebody else shoot the final shot.
Before we move on, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, because you definitely do not want to miss what is coming next. Nobody expected the Indiana Fever's biggest controversy to center around the very coach who was brought in to maximize the potential of the most exciting young superstar women's basketball has seen in years. When Stephanie White returned to Indiana, the decision was widely praised as the missing piece the franchise needed, a move that many believed would help elevate the Fever from a rebuilding team into a legitimate contender while creating the perfect environment for Caitlin Clark to thrive. Expectations immediately skyrocketed, and fans were convinced that White's experience, leadership, and understanding of the game would unlock the full power of Indiana's talented roster, making the partnership seem like a perfect match from day one.
But, yeah, it's a... The one thing I will have to say is, look, I'm gonna be very real here. This was a game that kind of showed what we're going to see for the rest of the season. Like, this is a game, like, this is one of those games, and there was plenty of them last year as well. There was plenty of them last year where Steph White...
The Fever already had Caitlin Clark. They already had talent. They already had momentum. And now they supposedly had the experienced coach who could transform potential into dominance. On paper, everything seemed to be falling into place for Indiana to take the next step and establish itself as one of the league's most exciting teams. But as the season unfolded, expectations began colliding with reality. And instead of celebrating a breakthrough, a growing number of fans found themselves asking an uncomfortable question. If all the necessary pieces are already in place, why does the team still look so far from reaching its full potential?
It was an absolute disaster for the Indiana Fever. No way to spin that. It was simply bad. They got outplayed in every aspect of the game, coaching on down. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Uncensored and unafraid. Shout no. Is it okay to scream and yell and stomp your feet about an absolutely pathetically bad game and think the sky is falling? Yeah, sure, of course, fans do that.
What happens when a coach inherits a Ferrari and spends the entire season trying to drive it like a minivan? That question grew even louder after another frustrating performance, in which Indiana once again looked disconnected on the offensive end, struggled to establish any consistent identity, and left fans searching for answers. Instead of seeing a system designed to maximize the strengths of one of basketball's most dynamic offensive talents, supporters watched a team that often appeared out of sync, with Caitlin Clark spending large stretches of games battling against the very structure that was supposed to help her succeed. As possessions became increasingly stagnant and opportunities seemed harder to create than they should be, frustration continued to build, and many began wondering why a player capable of transforming an offense was so often forced to operate within a system that appeared to limit rather than unleash her greatest strengths.
Can I be honest with y'all about something real quick? And understand right now, if we had won last night in Golden State, I would feel the same way. If we had won every single game this season, I would still feel the same way. I don't like what I'm seeing. I followed Clark from college to the WNBA to watch her play her game. All right? I'm not saying she got to take 20, 30 shots a game because we know she passes.
Here's the rewritten version as one strong flowing paragraph. The frustration is not simply about wins and losses. Every team loses games, and every coach makes mistakes. But what has pushed Fever fans to the edge is the feeling that the same issues continue showing up game after game without any meaningful adjustments. For months, supporters have watched Caitlin Clark do what elite superstars always do: create offense out of nothing, turn broken possessions into scoring opportunities, stretch defenses far beyond their comfort zones, make impossible passes look routine, and hit difficult shots with an almost effortless confidence. What makes the situation so puzzling is that some of Indiana's best basketball has often come when Clark appears to be playing on instinct rather than operating within a carefully designed defensive system. Whenever she finds a rhythm, the entire offense suddenly becomes dangerous. The ball moves faster, defenders begin to panic, teammates receive cleaner looks, and the floor opens up in ways that make the game easier for everyone. Yet just as momentum starts building, the Fever often seem to drift away from the very actions that created that success in the first place. It is like owning the fastest race car in the world and deciding to spend half the race cruising in the slow lane because everyone already knows how fast it can go. That comparison has become a common criticism directed at Stephanie White, with many fans believing Indiana consistently overcomplicates situations that should be relatively straightforward. When a team possesses one of the most dangerous pick-and-roll creators in basketball, conventional wisdom suggests building the offense around that strength until opponents prove they can stop it. Instead, critics argue that Indiana frequently moves away from its most effective actions in favor of experimental offensive sequences that produce inconsistent results and prevent the team from fully maximizing the unique talents of its biggest star.
About as rough a showing as you'll see from Caitlin Clark. Gotta give the Valkyries credit for that in a lot of ways. The Fever offense as a whole wasn't the offense that you're used to seeing. A lot of that due to the length, the athleticism, the tenacity, the physicality of Golden State. The Fever, Clark were able to fight through that in the last game. Obviously, all the ish talking with Tiffany Hayes and 22 points and 9 assists, I think it was, last game around. But in this one, Clark never really got going, never really took control of the game.
The most common example involves the partnership between Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. On paper, the combination should be nearly impossible to defend. Clark's limitless shooting range forces defenders to extend far beyond their comfort zones, while Boston's presence in the paint creates constant pressure near the basket and forces opposing defenses into difficult decisions. Together, they possess the potential to generate efficient offense almost automatically, and whenever Indiana fully commits to that partnership, flashes of brilliance quickly emerge. Yet there have been numerous games where fans walked away wondering why one of the team's most dangerous weapons seemed to disappear for extended stretches. The frustration grows because every successful possession serves as a reminder of what the Fever could consistently look like if they fully embraced their greatest strengths. Basketball has always been a relatively simple game disguised as a complicated one, and history's greatest coaches understood a fundamental principle. When you discover an advantage, you continue attacking that advantage until the opponent proves capable of stopping it. You do not abandon a successful strategy simply because the defense knows it is coming. Nobody told Michael Jordan to stop shooting because defenders expected him to shoot. Nobody told Shaquille O'Neal to stop posting up because opponents knew he wanted the ball near the rim. Nobody told Stephen Curry to stop launching three-pointers because everyone in the arena understood exactly what he planned to do. Great players force defenses to stop them. They do not voluntarily stop themselves. That belief sits at the heart of the criticism surrounding Stephanie White, as many observers feel the Fever have spent too much time searching for alternative answers before opponents have successfully taken away the most effective one.
Isn't going to adapt at all. if it's not working. So the Indiana Fever have not switched everything all year. They have not switched everything all year, and they went out and switched everything for 40 minutes. Like, they switched everything in for 40 minutes.
As a result, possessions often become slower, ball movement begins to stagnate, and Caitlin Clark frequently finds herself forced to create offense under far more difficult circumstances than necessary. The irony is that Stephanie White was hired specifically because of her reputation as one of the game's most respected and experienced basketball minds. Nobody questioned her intelligence, and nobody questioned her understanding of the sport. Instead, the growing concern became whether she was trying to outthink situations that required far simpler solutions. Nothing sparks frustration among fans faster than substitution patterns, and Indiana supporters have certainly had plenty to debate throughout the season. Questions consistently emerged regarding rotation decisions, lineup combinations, and the timing of player substitutions. Certain players would appear to find a rhythm only to be taken out, while bench units would inject energy and momentum into games only to be broken up before that success had a chance to fully develop. Productive stretches often seem to end just as they were beginning to build. Every coach faces criticism over rotations because every fan believes they have discovered the perfect lineup from their living room. But when the same concerns are repeatedly voiced by analysts, former players, and large portions of the fan base, the discussion becomes increasingly difficult to dismiss. One player who frequently received praise during these conversations was Raven Johnson. Whenever younger players bring energy, defensive intensity, hustle, and smart decision-making to the floor, fans naturally want to see more opportunities given to them. Johnson ultimately became a symbol of a much larger debate surrounding the team. Should Indiana continue prioritizing established veterans regardless of current performance? Or should playing time increasingly be earned by the players producing the best results in real time? With each passing game, that question only became louder.
In crucial crunch time than Caitlin Clark. This is unacceptable, folks. It is absolutely unacceptable. She's either your superstar Michael Jordan, or you think she's Eddie Curry. I mean, I don't know what Stephanie White's doing. I don't know what she's thinking. But you've got to let your superstar cook. You have.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark remained at the center of everything. The challenge facing any coach responsible for a transcendent player is recognizing that traditional systems sometimes need to adapt rather than expecting a generational talent to fit perfectly within an existing framework. Extraordinary players create extraordinary circumstances, and in many cases the framework itself must evolve around their unique abilities. That does not mean abandoning structure or discipline. It means understanding how rare talent can reshape the game. Clark's impact reaches far beyond her scoring numbers. Her presence alone alters defensive alignments, stretches opposing schemes, and changes the geometry of the court. Defenders often pick her up near half court, help defenders stay attached longer than usual, and passing lanes open because opponents are constantly worried about her shooting range. Even on nights when her shot is not falling, the attention she commands creates opportunities for everyone around her. The criticism from many Fever supporters is that Indiana occasionally treats those advantages as secondary benefits rather than building the offense around them as its primary strength. When that happens, possessions can begin to feel disconnected from the very player responsible for generating most of the team's offensive gravity. Of course, coaching criticism alone does not explain every issue. Players carry responsibility as well. The Fever have dealt with turnovers, missed defensive assignments, inconsistent shooting, breakdowns in communication, and execution mistakes that no coach can completely prevent. A coach cannot step onto the floor and make shots, secure rebounds, or eliminate every error personally. However, coaching remains the most visible target because it influences nearly every aspect of how a team operates. When fans continue witnessing the same problem surface game after game, it is only natural for them to start wondering why the necessary adjustments and solutions have not arrived. That question became even more intense after losses in which Indiana appeared physically overwhelmed by its opponents. For a team built around star power, offensive firepower, and championship aspirations, There were nights when opposing teams simply looked tougher, sharper, and better prepared from start to finish. Whether that perception always reflected reality became almost irrelevant, because perception is often what shapes public opinion. Once fans begin believing a team lacks a clear identity, every mistake starts reinforcing that narrative. Every missed defensive rotation becomes evidence. Every stagnant offensive possession becomes proof